Hello, this is Solomon Davis from Hindsight Trading, where you can learn to trade on the right side with confidence. Today is September 17th, 2016, and this is my trade review, where I review my NASDAQ morning trade, where I trade 9:30 open. Red candle, we trade down. Green candle, we trade up. Doji is a no trade. Let me let you know this is for educational purposes only. This is not a trade recommendation. This is just showing you some of the things that we do. Past performance are not indicative of future results. Also, right here, our products and services are provided solely for educational purposes only. Pause this, read this. Get in touch with your financial advisor and see if trading is something suitable for you, because trading is risky. You can lose money. You need to get educated so you can get to a point where you can make money at this. But if you don't, you will lose money, because trading is definitely not for everyone. All right, let me bring up my presentation if I can find that. Boom. Let me switch screen. Apply. So you received my weekly trade review, September 17th. This is for the week of September 12th through the 16th. And let's move on. My morning trades, as I say, the 9:30 open. 5-minute candle, we trade down. Sell. Green candle, we trade up. We buy. We're looking at no more of a 5-point loss, looking for a 5-point profit or more. On September 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th were all up days for 10 points or more. September 16th was a down day for 10 points or more. One of the better weeks I've seen all year. So let's take a quick look at the chart and show you exactly what that looks like. Okay, let me scroll back. Whoa. And I must be kind of zoomed in. Let me readjust the chart. That right there looks like Monday. So this was Monday, September 12th. Like I said, we look at this first candle, and all green, we trade up. And did it go up 10 points or more from that point? Yes, it did. Our entry is usually at the close of the candle. But if you've seen some of my videos, I enter at this point, or I enter when it pulls back, and test this point, and then I'm looking for 10 points or more. I trade to the pivots, and also those are my targets. Not usually my target; those are my targets, and all. So that was good on Monday. The thing is, I'm just kind of showing this strategy, how it works. On this day, again, the green candle, this wasn't a doji. If you look at open and close, it was greater than 1 point. Now that's where you're able to get an entry, after that 5-minute candle at this point or better, based on this strategy, and that you get 10 points or more. Yes, it barely made it, according where you had your entry at. But it was a good day. That was probably one of the closest days. On this day right here, this is a nice day again. If you watch my videos, you'll see that I might get these little pull below pivots. I think I actually did video this day, and I'll get in below here, or sometimes just above this pivot, and it did get 10 points or more. My stop, based on where I would have got in, would have been below this level here. But even if you played based on the basic rules, you could have got in here, and then your stop was at 34, which is right about here, and then you would have been close to like maybe taking a stop, but you had this pivot right here. And, it's all based on your rules and the way you play these markets and all, if you would have stopped yourself out and re-entered or not on the upside. The next day was nice and clean day, but it took a while before it actually took off. But again, it got up here to this level. You had a pivot right there in the way. Did you get in right away on that trade, or did you wait to see it bounce again on this hole where it couldn't break pivot before? This is an R1 level. You could have waited. It's all according to how you played it. If you played it based on the basic rules, you still could have got in. With no problem with you making 10 points or more, or just even stopping yourself out even with 5 points on this day. But again, you could have played another trade. I think I showed where I did another trade and I got in at 59 and I played this thing higher. And the next day, and like coming up on the last day, this was the down day here, Friday. Friday, clean. It seemed like it had topped. The market had topped, going down, red candle down. All based on where you got in at, 07, 12 right here. It never closed above that area. Again, you got 10 points or more down. And that was pretty much it. So, again, up, down on Friday, and great week. Okay, like I say, today is September. Now my NASDAQ market review. I do just the NASDAQ. Watch Wally video if you want to get a bigger picture, looking at the SPX and maybe looking at other indexes too, and getting a wider view of what's going on for next week, and a more in-depth review. That's Wally's market review. Here, all I do is look at the NASDAQ, and on the NASDAQ, in my eyes, we'll take a look at the chart. I think it's in a consolidation mode below that past Friday drop. But the weekly is forming a bullish engulfing, and I'll show you that pattern. So I would lock in any profits if you are in any short positions at this time. But the monthly is still looking bullish. So again, I'm looking at this market going higher and actually breaking the highs. And we're going to take a look at the charts right quickly, and I'll show you what I'm seeing. But if you're in cash is not a bad place to be until once we actually break a high or we break down and break a low, if you want to go long or if you want to go short. So let's take a quick look at the charts and show you what I'm seeing there. This right here is, let me remove this line right here, remove drawing. This is from some other stuff, remove drawing. But here, this right here, these two levels here, this is QQQ, which is also based off the NASDAQ 100. It's the ETF that you can trade if you're not able to trade, in the future market. So, and this is something that I was trading in the past, the Qs. I was traded this for quite a while, and I just now made the switch over to the future market. Back August of last year when the market got ready to turn down, what I noticed on my options that I was trading, my spreads got a little wider than what I was normally used to trading. The options got a little bit more inflated. The volatility was fluctuating quite a bit on them. So again, I wasn't making the money that I was expecting to be making on some of those trades. And it was harder to actually get the entries, and exits that I wanted, and just making the money that I wanted to. And I knew it was all because of the volatility that was coming into the market and the way they play around with option prices. So I decided it was time for me to make a switch to the future market where I don't have to be concerned with all that. But I still have my lines here, and I still like looking at the Qs to see what's happening. This is a monthly chart, and what I want to show, this is back in March of 2000. So this is the high that we're really fighting that you can't see maybe on other charts, that we're trying to break. You can see here on this monthly chart, we're coming up to this level right here, trying to break this level. This is the level that I'm thinking we can break, maybe this month or next month is what I'm looking for. If we actually, because we haven't closed down here below this level here. Once we've broken above this level here like 2 months ago and all, now we're going to be fighting to break this level here. If we can break this level, we might get a breakout, fake out, and we test this level. But I'm looking for us to go higher. I'm looking for us to break this level right here. And if we don't, this is what this is our ceiling that we're trying to break right now. And these candles are still looking bullish, in my opinion. Let's look at this on a weekly, right quick. Well, 10 years, 10 years now, and look at a weekly. Now that you've seen that picture on a weekly, this is you can barely see it on the Qs. On the Qs, this is that weekly bullish engulfing that I'm talking about. where, again, it's looking like, okay, if this is really setting up as a bullish engulfing, we might be able to actually push higher and break these highs. It's like, but it's at a top, and a bullish engulfing at a top. A lot of times they don't work, but that's what I'm seeing. Now let's drop down to a daily. And on the daily, based on what happened last week on QQQ, this was the big drop on Friday. We had one of the bullish engulfings here, come Monday, and that's when we got this little pushback up to the top. But this daily pattern here, it's bullish looking. But again, we are back at these tops and don't know what's going to happen. That's why, again, I'm saying you got to play this, got to play this past week. That's great. But now next week, you might as well, and with the news coming up next week, you might as well kind of just wait. Well, us day traders, we can play each day. If you're a long-term type trader, you might want to just remain in cash if you're there. If you're short and you got any profit left after this week, you definitely better lock it in. Or you might even decide to get even short again at this position, at this point here. This is not a bad thing, and then your stop is just above there. If you're long, you can go long here. Wait before I'd like trading before the breakout, and then you put your stop maybe below one of these daily candles here, whatever you're comfortable with. But that's what I'm seeing on the market, and I'm using QQQ instead of my normal NASDAQ thing in Q, my future market. Again, we end up with all the text on there. But that's kind of like what we see. We saw this market came back, and it's kind of trying to push higher. And this hammer right here, this could be showing a top, and we could roll over, but we kind of have to wait till Monday, Tuesday, and see what happens if this thing actually rolls over or not. So that's all I really want to say on the market review for the week of September 17th for the trades 2012 through 2016. Once you visit our webpage, kind of check us out here, our YouTube page, Right Side Trader. We have courses, we have mentorship, coaching, and check out our blog. Thank you for viewing, and hope you can. We don't like using the word hope here at Right Side Trading. We see, we expect, and we act. At Right Side Trading, visit us, and maybe you can learn to trade on the right side with confidence. Talk to you later. Have a great week. Bye.